Today on Super Metallurgy, we're going to be talking about SOR, which is sale or return. This is commonly found with faster cars, normally supercars, the Porsches, the Ferraris, the Lamborghinis, where a client will take their vehicle to a dealer and then decide to sell it. So instead of going to a dealer and just saying, will you buy my car? The dealer makes an offer which is normally quite low because they have to service and prepare the vehicle and put it up for sale with advertising costs and sell the vehicle in their showroom, which is costing them probably millions of pounds on an annual basis with staffing costs and rent and heat and lights. The dealer will come back to them and will say, okay, how much do you want to sell it for? So that person would then say, I want to sell the car for X amount of money. And the dealer says, yes, that's absolutely fine. I'm happy to list it and put it on display in my showroom. Bring me all the documentation and we will sell the car for an uplifted price, which is the market value. Generally, you can get much better returns on a sale or return than you can just by selling your car to a dealer. Super Metallurgy is a brand new show. This is the first video. We're going to be talking about supercars, classic cars, anything which basically has an engine inside it. I myself am in the property business. I'm a property developer and I'm also an estate agent. But my passion for the last 20 or so years has always been motor cars. I've had cars ranging from my very first car, which was an Austin Mini, and I do think everybody that has a car should try a Mini at some point if they have a driving license. It used to be the staple for every new driver when I was a boy. And then I went on to faster cars pretty quickly into things like the Nissan Sunny GTIR, which was a four-wheel drive, 220 horsepower monster, and it was an original UK car, which made it very, very rare. Many people then went out and imported them from Japan, and they had the Nissan Pulsar, and that was basically the same vehicle, but you could tell the UK car because it had no rear windscreen wiper. And it was a bit of a rare beast, and I wish I had it today, but I sold it and I moved on to other things. Then I went from the GTIR, and I had things like Fiat Barchettas, which was a pretty little two-seater convertible. Wasn't really my cup of tea, but it was a great car and lovely for the summertime, and the interior had all been redone in new leather and the door cards, and that was lovely. And then into big BMWs, James Bond had come out, so I went into a BMW 750 V12, and that was a wonderful car with blacked out windows and sound systems because I was younger, and big alloy wheels. And then I moved into Porsches, and Porsches for me have been a part of my life now for really about 10 or 11 years. And I started with a 996 Carrera 4, and then I moved into a Carrera 2S. A black car, which was beautiful, slightly higher miles, but utterly reliable, with a manual gearbox, which was rare, and then that was sold off. Then I went into a 997 Turbo, and I couldn't leave it alone. It was so powerful, and so I had Capristo exhaust fitted to it, and carbon air ducting and carbon air boxes, and it was tuned quite heavily, and that really was a beautiful car, until I decided to sell it. And I went off to Redline in Knaresborough in Yorkshire, and I met up with a great guy there at Redline, and he said, look, we'll buy it off you. We have people that will take this car. You know, they're extremely sought after because it was in between the two generations of this particular vehicle. So you had the first generation, which was most 911 turbos at that time, and then you had generation 2. But in between, they changed the interiors of the cars around, and they did something called the Gen 1.5. So my car got the exterior looking as normal. The engine was that fantastic Mexico engine, and then the interior got the updated number 2 generation interior. So I got the nicer sat-nav, the nicer switchgear, the switches that didn't peel off all the time, gearbox was slightly quicker, and it really was a very sought-after vehicle, and very few numbers of them actually came to the UK. So the car was sold off, and I said to the chap at in the showroom at Redline with all of these amazing supercars everywhere, what am I possibly going to buy? And he said, well, we've got a 991 in black turbo, the later generation to your car. Why don't you have a look at it? And of course the deal was done. That was about 15 or 16 months ago. And it brings you up to date on my car history. So the car came home with me. 15 months passed, and I had the car fully wrapped in paint protection film from Expel by a company called AutoWorks in Bromley, a guy called Tom, and he's now since done a couple of cars for me, and he's a fantastic guy, really knows his stuff, and he's quite passionate about supercars. So the car kept its look, and no stone chips, all self-healing, and then he tinted the windows, and of course it's black, so it now looked like a real, quite a menacing black 911 Turbo. But I decided to sell it. So I was contacted by a company in North London. I'm not going to mention names, but they said to me, we can take your car, we'll put it into our showroom, we'll advertise it heavily, we will give you X amount of money. Now, I checked how much they were going to give me, and it was about £5,000 or £6,000 more than my closest offer from a main dealer. And I'd spoken to Porsche UK, and I'd spoken to a few of the larger companies, such as Redline in the north of England. And they all came back with a single bid and said, we will give you X amount of money for your vehicle, you hand it over, we do all the work on it, you have nothing to worry about, and we transfer the funds to your bank account, and somebody else buys the car off us. So they're of course making their markup on this product. And that's fine. I understand they have to earn their money, and they have to service and prepare a vehicle, and if they find something wrong with it, they have to deal with it, and then they have to offer a warranty. So somebody comes in and spending near on £100,000 on a vehicle, they need to be able to have a peace of mind that that car is going to be safe and secure, and it's going to continue to run nicely for the next foreseeable future. So I thought, okay, this is fine, but I'm not getting quite what I want. This sale or return idea from this company in North London looked extremely good. So I agreed to the terms, and I was going off travelling to Asia. And the gentleman said, we're going to send a driver over, I'll send you his photo ID so you can see who he is, and your car goes. Just make sure you leave the keys, and you leave any documentation and trackers and all of the other information that a new buyer would require. So I did. I went off to Asia, car was collected on the Monday morning, and I thought everything was fine. 3 weeks later, I still hadn't heard anything at all from the dealer, and I thought, this is a little bit strange. I haven't even had an update, and this is an expensive asset. So I called, and of course the sales chap was very nice on the telephone, quite hard to get hold of, especially when you're in Singapore and you're trying to call at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night just to have a phone call with them because they're 7 hours behind you in time. And he said to me, oh, we've had a couple of nibbles, we've had people that quite like the car, but we've got one guy that really likes it and he would like to buy it. And I said, how much is the offer? And he said, well, he will pay basically what we're asking for it, and how do you feel? And I said, yes, of course, fantastic, well done, great news. And the phone went down, and I was extremely excited about the whole thing, as you would be. Another week passed, nothing at all from the dealer. So of course I picked up the phone. At this point I was away in Hong Kong, and I thought, well, I'd better speak to the dealer and just make sure that I haven't missed his phone call, because I'm travelling around and my cell phone is changing number all the time, and he probably doesn't know where I am. So I got on to him and he said, yes, we can't do a deal with this chap because he has outstanding finance on his vehicle. So we need to look at another avenue. But I have got another potential customer who is hooked up with the gentleman that's buying a Ferrari off us, and he's going to do some deal with the Ferrari in his particular car, and then my car will be taken as I think a slightly cheaper supercar. So I thought, perfect, this is fantastic. Flew back to the UK. I was expecting everything to be happening at that point, and effectively them to say, the money's in the bank, and come and get the money. But it never transpired. So another 2 weeks go past, went into my third week, so we're now on 7 weeks, and really not many phone calls from this particular gentleman. He was always away, always travelling overseas, and it was quite difficult dealing with his staff. They didn't really know about the Porsche 911 Turbo. The adverts I couldn't see on the internet, and I made countless calls to say I hadn't seen the adverts, and they kept telling me they were there. So I was losing hope. Then I put a call in, and I said, look, enough's enough, I'd like to take the car back. And I was told, no, you can't, we've received a deposit on the car. And so I thought, this is great, fantastic news. But the problem was, this deposit never materialised. Now, I didn't expect it to hit my account, but I wanted to see proof because I'd been messed around. And I asked for proof. I said, well, can you show me a bank statement? Maybe your client's account. You can show the money coming into the account so that I can rest and I don't worry about it. And then if the guy wants to pick the car up in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, so be it. I get it. It's absolutely fine. And they said to me, well, no, we can't show you that. That's at our other office. Well, firstly, they didn't have another office. Not that I knew anyway, and it wasn't being advertised, and it definitely wasn't a car showroom. But they insisted that there was an inspection was going to go ahead because this guy had paid his deposit. So I had to go with it again, which most people would do. So I had to give them the benefit of the doubt. The inspection, I was told, was going to be between the Monday and the Tuesday. So I phoned on the Wednesday and I said, did the inspection go ahead? And they said, yes, it did. And I said, well, when did it go ahead? And they said, well, it happened yesterday. And I said, that's great news. Who was it that inspected the car? Because I know the Porsche scene, I know the dealers, I know who the companies are that people would go out and would utilise to inspect a fairly new Porsche 911 with low miles. And I was told, I don't know who they were. And I said, well, why don't you know who they are? I mean, why would you give the keys out to my vehicle to somebody that we don't know who they are, we don't know if they have insurance, we don't know if they even know about the Porsche 911, especially something as advanced as a 991 Turbo, which is, at the time it was the still currently the latest generation of the 911 Turbo. The 911 Turbo is made up of just a series of modules which effectively are ECUs, and if you damage one of those, the car is defunct. You let the battery go flat, potentially you need to reprogram items, and it's a real headache and extremely expensive, and only a Porsche dealer can really do it. So I was told, well, the guy didn't want to give me his name that was inspecting the vehicle, and he then said to this particular chap, you're not the one paying my bill to inspect this car. Why do you need to know anything about it? Please let me get on with my work. Who does it matter who I am? Well, alarm bells, of course, were going completely. And I thought enough was enough. I saw red. I'd given the benefit of doubt to this particular dealer countless occasions. So I changed my mind and I decided to advertise it myself, which I promptly did. I then went to my office in London and I phoned him in the afternoon and said, I'm going to collect the vehicle, I need the car, I need to actually use it physically for myself. And I went over and I collected the vehicle with all the documentation. And the car was fine, exactly as expected, in the condition that I'd given it to them in. But to this day, nothing actually materialised, and this so-called deposit that was taken was, as far as I can see, was fictitious. It was a way of them keeping the best part of a £100,000 supercar sitting in their forecourt, making their property look very nice, along with, I'm sure, many other vehicles. There was countless Ferraris and E-types and multiple classic 911s and 356 speedsters. And it just really left a bad taste in my mouth. So the car came home, went through the paperwork, and of course I found that my registration document was missing because I had a private number plate on the car, and I mistook what I had in the folder for just a piece of documentation I left in there that was the correct colour. So I had to phone the dealer, and they swore blind that, of course, they hadn't got the paperwork, and this was going to cause me a bit of an issue. So I had to reapply for a new piece of paperwork, which probably cost me £25 on the DVLA website. 3 days later it turned up, and I had my new document. And then, sure enough, in the post, 3 days after that, a brown envelope turns up from the company that originally had the car, and I had a brand new registration document alongside my original document, which they had removed for some completely reason that I've never actually found out. So I was pretty fed up. Then I was contacted by Lamborghini in Sevenoaks, which isn't a million miles away from me, just outside of London. And Sevenoaks is a well-heeled, wealthy area. A lot of nice cars you see flashing around in the evenings in that location. So I thought, okay, these guys know what they're doing. And they offered me basically the same deals, sale or return basis. But it's like chalk and cheese. the people that go in to buy a new Lamborghini off them, or a used Lamborghini, or one of their other vehicles like my 911 or Bentley or whatever it might be, a McLaren, expect a certain level of service. And they are exceptional. I've had documentation to show they've taken my vehicle. I've had phone calls. I've had email updates. The odd phone call coming through to my mobile phone to tell me what's going on. I know my car is in safe hands. I know it's been detailed properly, and it looks a lot better than it did when it was with the other company. And they, of course, are now selling the vehicle. So the reason for this video is there's not much on the internet about this sale or return. And it struck me that you can really fall foul of the dealer, because the dealers are obviously out there to make money. And of course, I make money in my business, and we all have to survive and put food on the table, and we all want to buy fast cars and whatever it might be. But it really is very difficult to sell a supercar at the wrong time of year through a dealer if you don't know who that dealer is. So please do register with different websites and forums. Look at these rating companies on the internet, and just type in the company name and just say, are there any reviews? And I did this, but I didn't find the information I was looking for. And of course, when I logged into the Porsche Owners Club, I was going through the website, and I've been a member for a number of years, and I could see on there this particular company, and they had been slated on multiple occasions. And it just sets alarm bells going, and I don't want somebody else to fall into this same trap that I've seen, because 99% of the time these dealers with these high-end vehicles are exceptionally good. They are nice people. They want to make a living. I have no issue. But you get the 1% that think they can really just do whatever they want and lie. And it's the lying that got me, because I'm giving away something that's a high-value asset. You can buy property in the UK, in areas outside of London, for the same value as this vehicle. And so I'm giving them an asset that's depreciating every time they drive it, every time they show people. And I need to know that they have certain things. Their insurance policy has to cover the car. So just be really careful, and just do lots of homework. So I'm hoping that you like this first video. It's a bit of a boring video. It's going to get more exciting. We're going to go and get into cars, and we're going to drive lots of nice vehicles. We're going to go and see different places with different cars, and we're going to go and talk to different dealers. We're going to look at a few of the other companies doing things like the paint protection films, doing the paint work, the preparation on vehicles, the tuning of vehicles. A side which is sometimes looked at, but not in great depth. And I think it needs to have to show that England has a pretty good tuning scene, and that tuning needn't just be about taking a Japanese motor car and putting a big exhaust on it. You can do other things which are really quite exciting. So we're going to be doing this over the following months, and I hope you like this video. Please do subscribe. Desperately looking to get a bit of traction. I'm not expecting great things yet, as this is my first video, but I hope you liked it, and please leave comments and get in touch should you wish to. Thanks ever so much, have a lovely weekend, and I hope to see you all really soon. Thank you.